First up, we're in the 5th District Court in Cedar City, Utah, for the sentencing of Tristan Lamro. Lamro has just pled guilty to killing his wife, Misty, following an argument in their apartment. According to news reports, she was shot 5 times in the head. When police arrived, they found Misty's body in the bathroom and Lamro fleeing the scene. Now in court, Lamro sits surrounded by 4 sheriff's deputies who closely watch over him. Judge G. Michael Westfall calls Misty's brother, Jason Wilson, to come up to the front of the courtroom and deliver an impact statement. As he approaches the podium, Wilson shoots an intimidating stare in the direction of the defendant. But Lamro seems unbothered as he casually rocks back and forth in his chair. After speaking for a bit, Wilson breaks from his emotional testimony and turns his full attention to Lamro. Since the words don't appear to have any effect on Lamro, Wilson tries a different approach. Sheriff's deputies step up as Wilson begins speaking directly to the man who killed his sister. Wilson lunges at Lamro, but his lawyer pushes Wilson back against the barrier. Lamro stands up as if he's ready to rumble, but a deputy slams him to the ground and away from the melee. Chairs are left spinning as deputies drag Wilson to the floor and restrain him. With the courtroom engulfed in chaos, these inmates taking in the scene seem completely unfazed. Moments later, Wilson's cuffed by the deputies. He apologizes for his outburst, and the judge orders him removed. The deputies put the courtroom back in order, and Lamro returns to rocking in his chair. According to local authorities, Jason Wilson was not charged for the incident. As for Tristan Lamro, he's eventually sentenced to 15 years to life in prison for first-degree murder. We're inside the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice in Detroit, Michigan. 25-year-old Jasmine Gordon and her 34-year-old boyfriend, Clifford Thomas, are being sentenced today for the death of Gordon's 3-year-old daughter, Jamila Smith. Thomas, who is not Jamila's father, was babysitting the girl when he claims she hit her head and stopped breathing. But authorities ruled her death a homicide, indicating the child died of multiple blunt force trauma injuries. Both Gordon and Thomas were found guilty of involuntary manslaughter, among other charges.
The verdict will stand. Thank you, Judge. That count. As found by the jury.
Today, Gordon and Thomas appear in court together, so family members won't have to deliver impact statements twice.
She made a bad choice, a real bad choice, and to let this stranger babysit her kids, because that man was a total stranger to them kids.
Sitting just off camera in the gallery is the dead child's father, Dwayne Smith. There's only a few feet and not much else between Smith and the man convicted of killing his daughter. When he's asked to deliver an impact statement, he delivers. If we take another look, you can see Smith enter the frame here and clearly punch Thomas in the head. Amidst the chaos, Gordon has an emotional moment of her own. And has to be comforted by her attorney.
Sit down! You hit my Sit down! Sit down!
It takes several sheriff's deputies to finally restore order. When the hearing resumes, Judge Margaret Van Houten issues a warning.
There will be no outbursts in the courtroom. If there are any, you'll be removed from the courtroom.
She sentences Thomas to 57 months to 15 years for involuntary manslaughter and 1 to 2 years for resisting arrest. After Thomas is taken away, a tearful Gordon makes a plea to the judge.
To be placed in jail right now after kissing my daughter for the last time is something I would have wished I was safe for himself. I was not innocent. I was trying to forgive anybody, never.
The tears seem to have no impact on Judge Van Houten. She sentences Gordon to 7 to 15 years for involuntary manslaughter and another 14 to 25 years for first-degree child abuse. As for Dwayne Smith, Judge Van Houten decides not to hold the grieving father in contempt of court for his outburst. Next, we go all the way back to 2003, when a convicted murderer stood just feet away from a devastated family looking for revenge. On trial is Jerome Bogs, accused of killing Blister Cook and his 4-year-old son, TJ. He's also facing charges of burglary and robbery. Bogs reportedly went to the Cook home to buy marijuana. Once inside, the drug deal turned into a robbery and double murder. Bogs is in court for his arraignment. He's pled not guilty to all charges. In the gallery are members of the victim's family, devastated by this horrific crime.
Bob will be held with no bond. Submit for pretrial conference on March 26th.
The judge orders Bogs held without bond and sends him back to his cell. Just as that's Blister Cook's brother, Michael, charging towards the defendant. A second brother, Donald Keith, makes an attempt to get at Bogs. While officers handle that situation, a third man makes a run at Bogs, but no luck. He slips out the back door. Luckily for Bogs, there are several officers in the courtroom who prevent those angry family members from getting to Bogs. He's later found guilty of all charges and sentenced to life in prison with no chance for parole. Now we head to Cleveland, Ohio, to the Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court for the sentencing of convicted serial killer Michael Madison. Madison's been convicted on 3 counts of aggravated murder for the killing and mutilation of 3 young women in Ohio. The gruesome nature of the crime shocked the community of East Cleveland. Police found the remains of the victims in different areas of Madison's neighborhood, one in his own apartment.
There was evidence of decomposition fluid in several parts of the apartment building. There were maggots that were attached to the decomposition fluid.
Today, Madison finds out if he'll receive the death penalty. As part of the hearing, Van Terry, the father of one of Madison's victims, steps up to the podium to make a victim impact statement. Mr. Terry's now just a few feet away from the man who so brutally took the life of his daughter, Sherelda.
Right now, I guess we're supposed to, in our hearts, forgive this clown who's touched our families, taken my child.
He's looking directly at Madison.
All right.
Van Terry is released without charges. A short time later, County Judge Nancy McDonnell hands down Madison's sentence. Michael Madison is sentenced to death and will now live on Ohio's death row. Now we head to the Otero County Courthouse in Roswell, New Mexico, for the criminal trial of Michael Cox Jr. Authorities say Cox molested a young child. The two were alone watching television. He was charged with criminal sexual contact of a minor under the age of 13. With the trial now concluded and Cox found guilty, Judge Jerry Ritter Jr. calls a bench conference with attorneys from both sides. As Deputy DA Scott Key, the man who just helped convict Cox, walks back to his seat, Cox unleashes his frustration. Cox lunges at Key, who makes a quick move before crashing into the podium. He takes a swing at Key as he hits the ground. Officer Katia Smith enters the courtroom just in time to witness the ruckus. She acts swiftly and attempts to restrain Cox. Key gets back on his feet and makes a run at Cox. But the melee only intensifies as a man from the gallery joins the fray. With his courtroom engulfed in chaos, Judge Ritter attempts to take control. He leaves the bench and orders the room to be immediately cleared. With the confrontation now over, Key pulls himself together. He takes a moment to fix his hair and then straightens up the area, even putting a trash can back in place while Cox is cuffed and led away. Order is finally restored. Michael Cox Jr. received 18 years for criminal sexual contact with a minor. And for his ill-advised attack on Key, the newly convicted felon picked up an additional 6 years for felony battery on a peace officer and misdemeanor aggravated battery. Both sentences will run consecutively.